Hello. Hello, YouTube land. Karen Bierce here. I realized I wasn't introducing myself. I don't know that it matters because, I've got the whole, it's my page and all that. But anyway, here I am. I realized when I'm making my videos, I have the same view at the start of the videos and I'm getting confused as to what day I'm on and which way is up basically. But today what I'm going to do, I pulled out some product already because I want to have more of a focused play. And I will talk about that in a second. So let's start with, I've got a couple things to talk about. We're going to start with this. Okay, we're going to start with the page I did the other day. This was day 4. I apologize. I had put the wrong thumbnail up. I'd put this thumbnail up. So it's fixed. So if you saw this video with the wrong thumbnail, you're good to go. If you didn't see this, there's going to be, it's changed. So this is the video, it now matches. And this will be the next video I'm working on to upload. So this interesting little page, if you followed along, I did this sort of an ode to Tim Holtz with Umbrella Man. And I did not like it. And you'll see if you watch the video. And I want to talk to you a little bit about when you're in the zone, when you're in the crafting zone. When you're in the crafting zone, and this is one thing that's great about challenges, that you're doing it every single day. When you're in the crafting zone, your subliminal mind will come up with solutions for you, whatever, while you're sleeping, while you're driving around, when you're doing whatever you're doing. So this page, if you watch the video, I got through it and I did not like the final result. The Umbrella Man wasn't popping. It kind of got washed in, whatever. And it was just in the back of my mind. And all of a sudden, I literally, again, woke up going, oh my gosh, duh, white, outline it in white. And so all I did was outline it in white. If you go to my Instagram, I have a side-by-side comparison. And it's very, very drastic. Like, this is what it needed. That was the thing that was missing. That was the thing. And now I really like this page. So this page went from not liking it as I was doing it, struggling, completely changing it, like washing over the background completely. And then now I really, really like it. Dare I say love it. I really like it though. And all I did was use a white gel pen. I used Artiza. Use whichever you have. This just happened to be sitting right in front of my desk. One of my favorites actually is Posca are good. And one of the good things, like when you use a white gel pen on paint, you do want to let it dry. So it was kind of convenient that it literally was a couple of days later and I went, oh, that's what it needs. Because if your paint is not dry completely, like 24-hour dry, it will magically go into the nib of your pen and dry. And it's a plastic. So it's like a glue. It'll dry and you will ruin your pen. So if you're ruining your gel pens, that's why. You have to wait, especially with sprays is 24 hours. Actually, acrylic paint's a little bit shorter, but 24 hours. Just wait till the next day, then you can come in and doodle. So yeah, loving that page now. And then we have the little Momo page, which I'm working on uploading. So today we're on the back side of that. And this is what it's looking like to start with. And the prompt is embossed. And what my process is right now, I'll let you into my process a little bit. When I finish this page, okay, love it, it's done. Turn it over, I look at my next page, I look at the prompt, okay, embossed. And then I walk away and I do whatever I have to do and move on with my day. But this is in my mind and I bring it up throughout my day thinking, okay, what could I possibly do? So that when I go to sit down, I already have an idea or and so when I was thinking about embossed, I was like, okay, there's so many things. I could heat emboss. I could use an embossing folder. I really like the background. I really like this sort of messy, got a couple of colors going on. It's just very subtle, but with the music. So I didn't want to cover it. So I didn't want to just slap something down. Thought about an embossed shape. Okay, that would be good. And then I thought of one of my favorite techniques that I used to do all the time. I haven't done it in a really long time. And we're going to do it today. And then I was going through, I'm sorry, I'm talking very fast because look, drinking my holly coffee. Yeah. Take a breath. Okay, take a breath. I'm just excited. I'm excited because I feel like I know what I'm doing. If you go to my Instagram, I have all of the pages I did, but I participated in ICAD, Index Card a Day, last year. And I didn't finish it. I'm going to finish it. It's on my list of things to do. But I have a bunch of them just sitting on my desk. Love that one, by the way. And I thought, well, let me just go through for inspiration. So here's a question. Do you ever go back to your own work for inspiration? Because that's a really good thing to do. And so I pulled out this card and I thought, perfect. It's going to work perfectly with what I want to do today. I'm going to change it a bit, but actually not too much. I kind of want it to be sort of the same, but different. So we're going to go through that process. And so what I've pulled out, I have a stencil, one of my favorite stencils. I'm going to play with Dina Wakley products today. And sometimes I find it easier just for my brain to stay in one, because I have so much product, one spot. But again, use what you have. Use your stash. I'm going to use this mosaic stencil of Dina's. I'm going to potentially, so this has stamping. So it's stenciled with some, I think, stencil butter. And then there's stamping on the background, like obviously paint, then stencil butter, then some stamping. So I'm going to switch that up a little bit. I want to keep the translucency, so we'll think about that. I'm going to add a couple of the newest tissue sheets, collage paper of Dina's. And I was looking at these. I love mushrooms. So I was going to do mushrooms, but then I looked at them. And, I realized there's no glare because I don't have my light on. We'll see if it's too dark. There's deer, there's birds, kind of sketchy birds. There's foliage. There's trees. There's all kinds, bears and foxes. So it's basically all kinds of wildlife. So I'm going to use something from this as sort of the, just, to replace these images kind of thing. I don't have to do exact, but again, I want this to be a quick one. I got a lot going on today. I really enjoyed making this, and it just made me so happy that I just kind of threw it together and I loved it. So I want to try and duplicate that. I've got the faces again. This is called Squared, MDR 81302 from Stampers Anonymous, or Ranger. I think they're made by Stampers Anonymous, probably. And I used this face last time, so it's this face. So I'm going to use one of these two faces. And we'll just see when I get there. Probably this one. I like this one's kind of cool. So, yeah. So that's my plan with that. And then I've got an idea for the feather and the rest of it. So, yeah. So this will be fun. So if you want, I hope you play along with me. I hope you come along and play along with me. So grab some supplies and we'll just have a chat and we'll do some things. As I am going to start with some clear embossing. That's what I'm doing. So I've pulled out the diamond medium. You could also use, there's an embossing dauber that Ranger has, which is great. It's really good for when you're using stencils. That's what I love these for. And then some UT. This isn't the correct bottle, but I have poured UT. For those of you that don't know, UT is ultra thick embossing enamel powder. And it just is a thicker, heavier, but it's clear. And so what I'm going to do is stencil with clear first, emboss with clear first. And what that'll do is it'll preserve whatever is in the open spaces on my stencil. Okay, so I'm going to need something underneath to catch the powder. Actually, let me do this. This is my fancy embossing powder catcher. No, spare no expense. Oh, my brad is catching. And we'll deal with the brad too at some point, but for now. And I want to get the whole surface covered. So I'm going to go that way. I think I might just tape this down a little bit, just because I am concerned that because my surface, usually I just wing it, but because my surface is, you know, kind of wonky with, you know, the book and all, just give it a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, mixed media and all that good stuff, but that's really going to make a big difference, isn't it? And then I'm going to take my heat gun. When I do use my heat gun, I will take the sound away so there'll be no sound. But I have a Sizzix heat gun. It's great. The thing I love about it is 2 speeds. But one of the things you want to do before you emboss is you just want to heat it a little bit. So, and plug it in. Yes, plugging it in helps. So you heat it a little bit. Just for a few seconds. And what that'll do is it gets the gun ready to make its magic. So I am going to, I'm a little concerned I'm going to get this. I'm going to have to try and figure out how not to get the powder completely everywhere. But so I'm going to get my powder ready. I'm going to open the lid, but I'm going to put it somewhere where I won't knock it over. Not that I do that a lot, but I really do. And then I'm going to take a breath. I'm just going to dab. I will probably, now the thing that I could do too is do this in sections, but I probably won't. Just because, make sure there's stuff coming out of there. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm steering you wrong. Let me move this. This is my catch-all, so I don't actually want to get a bunch of, I'm going to use a different paper. Underneath. It's going to be mucked up where I already started potentially. And what you can do even is come along on the side and make sure, oh my goodness. Oh, we got stuff going. Yeah, there we go. I've got stuff coming out. Okay. And I'm just going to press, dab and press. Now this technique is a little bit sketchy anyway. I can even just do this. I know that'll wreck the spongy thing though. Another thing I could do is take a foamy, and I do that sometimes, and just kind of make a puddle of the embossing fluid. We'll just see. This could be a hot mess. Because the idea is you don't want to put so much that it goes underneath, but at the same time you want to move a little bit quickly. Okay, this might work. Want to move a little bit quickly so we do get the whole, it doesn't start drying out. Okay, now this is going to be the tricky part, not to get embossing powder everywhere. I'm going to put my book so that it's definitely flatter. And I'm just going to come along and spread the entire thing with the powder. There we go. Let that stand for just a second. Let's see if this becomes a disaster zone. All right. And then I'm going to just give it a little flick. Get that excess powder off there. I have an image. Then I'm going to fold this so the powder doesn't blow away. And I'm going to come in with my heat gun and I'm going to go high from below, and then I'll switch it to low and come down on it. Actually, because of the photo and what's on the back, I'm going to go high, just higher. The thing is, I don't want to blow this away. So I'm going to go on low and go a little bit high with the gun and then bring it down as it gets hot. And I might just speed this up. We'll see what happens. here's what we have. So I'm going to give you some hot tips for this. And I'm really, let's hope nothing got damaged. No, it's a little wonky, but that's okay. Okay. So here's what we have. So you can see, I hope you can see that, where it's just clear. And there's some spots that have more than others. Like here, I didn't get as much powder. Now I can go back. I could theoretically take this, figure out the placement, which can be tricky when you have so many, you know, bits and bobs, but I could figure out the placement and go back in, there we go, and fix those areas. There's just a couple of areas that don't have a whole lot. I could do that. So, hot tips for successful embossing. You saw me start with the gun high on low. And just slowly moving it around. And the idea is I'm heating the crystals, not melting them, but heating them. And then once they start heating and you see a little bit of melting, you switch to high. And then, but if you see the crystals blowing, you have to back it down by pulling the gun higher up. And it's sort of a game to play to figure out the right, I don't know, maybe I'm giving you too much instruction. Let me know in the comments if it's like, yeah, we know how to emboss. Now I do have to be careful because remember, not that I've done this before, I might have done this before, where you forget and you end up with, say, magenta all over the floor instead of back in the jar, which is a sad waste. This is what we have. It does look so cool, doesn't it? And I didn't do the math when I was working on this, that these colors will stay. Kind of like when we did the collage medium on top of this. This will protect whatever's underneath it. So it's kind of cool because I'm going to get some of that color, which I really like. I'm going to lose some of the blue here, but I could also, you know, use blue to paint it out. So the next thing I need to do is to add the color on top. Two ways of doing it. I could use dark color, and then that way all you're going to see is what's in the little images, or I could use kind of a translucent, sort of a wash, and then that way I don't lose all of the image. So we'll play with it and we'll see where it goes. Here we go. So I've got a couple of colors I'm playing with. I've pulled out Dina Wakley scribble sticks, and they come in this great tin, and I love tins, and I love this, and I just wasn't using them, even though they were kind of down by my feet, which I know is a weird place, but that's where they were. So I put them again in one of these gelato, and I use them so much more because they're sitting right here as well as my crayons. So that's my hot tip. What I'm going to do, I swatched out a couple of colors on a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just deciding I want to kind of stay a bit within the same color palette. I do have limited colors. Oh, maybe I'll bring in this green. I do have limited colors, and yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it on the wax paper first. So this is, I've got Night, Cheddar, and Umber. And then I might bring in some evergreen. We'll see. And I'm just going to put it on some wax paper. You could use whatever, glass, a block, acrylic block, whatever you want. And I'm going to kind of create a little bit of a watercolor. And I'm going to come in. And the reason why I'm doing that is this is very absorbent paper, and it's kind of fragile. So if I were to put the stick here and then activate it, you know, sort of like, if I do it on this, which is a heavier cardstock, no problem. I can't guarantee it's going to work the same. You know what? I'll test it. Let's see. Pretty good. Pretty good. But anyway, I don't want to wreck the paper, so I'm just going to mix it on the side. And that's all I'm going to do. And you can see how those cubes are sort of popping over there. Actually, I guess I could just put it in one area instead. Don't have to spread it out. Ooh, this might be a bit bright. That's fine. You can cover it up after. Let's put this piece of paper here and protect Monsieur Umbrella Man. So while I'm doing this, I do want to just stop for a minute. Just, address the horrible wildfires that are going on in California. It's so incredibly sad what's happening out there. And just my heart goes out to everybody who's fighting the fire, from the first responders to the firemen to just everybody. It's just awful. People losing their homes. I just, if you're the praying kind, say a prayer. I can't imagine the fear, the stress, all of that these guys are dealing with. Packing, unpacking, worrying that you're going to lose. I can't imagine. Lose everything, lose your life, lose your pets. So just my heart goes out to anyone who's struggling, who's there and having to deal with this massive amount of fear and stress. And we lived in California for a year. In fact, my middle son was born there in Monterey. And just to even, one point there was a wildfire that was a mile from the house. And, that wasn't a big deal compared to what is happening. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. So yeah, my heart goes out to you, and I pray for you and your families and your communities. So yeah. I'm feeling like this might be too subtle. Again, bear with me. It's been a while since I've done mixed media, and I'm sort of, finding my way back to it. So things aren't always fluid as far as that goes. But then the idea is you come back in with, usually I use a baby wipe and just clear off the squares. So if I had a darker, I'm thinking it's too light because I really do want those to show up. I want those to show up. Now, I don't want to use an acrylic paint because acrylic paint's permanent. So I want to use a water-based paint. And Dina has gloss sprays, but those are glossy. So I don't want more gloss on top of the gloss. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull out some distress sprays. All right, I pulled out Faded Jean, Rustic Wilderness, and Peacock Feathers. One of the issues I'm realizing as I'm going with too light colors, I want a contrasting color so that those squares, like that burgundy, sort of, it really is a cheddar color. Actually, it's more like a Sedona color. That rusty color will contrast. So I'm going to switch, still blue greens. I'm going to keep with the blue greens. And I am going to pull out, I need a palette to spray. So I'm going to pull out, which, this is what we're going to do, okay? And this is messy, but that's okay. I'm going to turn this around. And so all I'm going to do is very quickly a spritz of each color, sort of not close to each other. I'll change this. I have another one, but I just haven't changed it because, why? And then some water. Just going to water that down a skosh, just a little. Okay, we'll see. Yeah, that's better. That's better. You can see how much that's popping out. And I'll stay with the same color, sort of in the same area. So I've got that darker color. And then I'm going to clean my brush off with muddy water. I'll come in with the green where the green is. So I'm not going to create a mud. And, this is just a background layer, so it's okay. But I did want to really show you what I was aiming for, and my math was off a bit. And then let's do one of my favorite colors in the world, peacock feather. All right, that's nice. I don't think it's going to wreck. You do have to be mindful of what's on the other side. Like, I don't want to get this too wet because I don't want to wreck the image behind it. I'm going to do this a little just for fun. But yeah, like that. Like that a lot better. We'll cover up that brad. Okay, you get the idea now. Look at how cool that looks. So then what I'll do is I'll probably take a paper towel, and I'm just going to get the paint off of, or you can, either one, or you can let it dry, because this is water-based, it will just come off of the squares. Okay, so I'm just going to, and then you can really see how those cubes pop. I'm having to be careful, like look at the difference. Once I pull that color off there. And this is a dry paper towel. I didn't even have to wet it because I don't want to lose the behind it, but you get the idea. Now I still have the music notes are very, very much in play, but that's okay. I like that. You know what? I'm gonna stick with that. It wasn't as contrasty as I would like. If I wanted it to be more contrasted, I really did need to use darker colors, like deeper colors, and potentially use an acrylic and just be quick about wiping them off. But I do like that. Just gives it texture. It's kind of a cool background. So we're just going to go from there. I've pulled some stuff out. I stamped the face that I want to use just on regular cardstock, and I cut it out. And then this was from the stash bag, is just a little circle of, I don't know what, the stuff you get at Christmas, it's on rolls, just like I guess it's a ribbon, but it's, I don't know, like weird. And then a piece of burlap. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to sandwich it with a brad, because I like the idea of having a piece of metal on there. So I'll start with that. I think what I'm going to do is just place this here. I want that on top for placement. So I'm just going to get my pokey hole tool. And, I kind of don't want it. Yeah, I'll be up here maybe. Big Brad in the middle of her face. That's not ideal either, but that's okay. We'll just put that there. Kind of cool, kind of funky. Eye piercing-ish. All right, so I'm going to glue that down. And then I pulled a couple of washi tape. I think these are Dina Wakley. My Dina Wakley, Diane Reevely washi tape kind of got a bit confused, but I'm pretty sure it is. So I'm going to add some washi. I'm going to just slap some glue down. And I want to put it somewhere where I don't cover all my favorite background. I'll just put that there. Hold it for a second or two. So I did some auditioning, and I don't know who came up with the term auditioning, but it's basically putting pieces out, checking to see if you like it, placing them to see if you like them there. And I auditioned some of the transparent paper, these guys, or the collage paper. And the only issue I realized is I would be gluing translucent black images on top of black images. So I realized, it's probably too much. It's not going to really pop. Okay, I think that's good. It's not going to pop. It's not really going to show. So I'm just not going to do it. I've let that go. I think I want to cover that brad. So I'm going to just put a couple of pieces of washi tape. So the key with washi tape is some are stickier than others. If you're concerned that your washi tape is not sticky enough, here's the secret. You take glue, my other one's a bit dried out, and you just run and then you know it'll stick. And I'm just going to cover that brad with the washi tape. And again, I'm just creating layers. It's tricky working on this because my book is getting very, very chunky. I'm going to have to put another book underneath it or something to pave the way. And I think I like the idea of having that little pop of color. I like the idea of it being underneath that. All right, that's fun. That is fun. So here's where we're at. Now I already found a quote, which is very convenient. I'm using, again, sticking with Dina Wakley's Type Ledgers, set 1. And these are great because they just have all kinds of quote. Anything is possible if you've got enough nerve. J.K. Rowling. It's just all kinds. But I've already found one, and I'm going to do this one by Eleanor Roosevelt. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Because that just really applies to my life in general right now. You just got to do it. I wonder if that's where Nike got their just do it from. It was originally Eleanor Roosevelt. That'd be cool. And I'm just going to cut that out. And decide, I always like doing them in 3. And if you see this one, 3 or 5, but this one is kind of like that. And you notice how very different these pages are coming along. And so that's what's fun about using inspiration. It's not going to necessarily turn out the same at all. So I want to break this in 3. I always like putting the person who quoted it, ode to them. So that'll be, might have to do 5, but this is a lot. Maybe put Eleanor down there. Oh. We'll see. This is auditioning, figuring out where to. I've cut my letters out. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. And then it'll have Eleanor Roosevelt. So that's 5. Wasn't ideal. And I'm just distressing the edges using Uncharted Mariner. So I thought I would do a bit of this on camera just for people that don't know how. You just sort of take your dauber straight up and down. I want to thank you to my new subscribers. It's very exciting to watch my channel grow. Did not expect it. So thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Leaving a comment. That's awesome. Love that. Wake up to happy comments when the world's, literally on fire. Again, it's hard, sometimes it's really hard to get what's going on out of your head. So that's why arting is so good, to just take a minute, de-stress, breathe, if we can. There we go. That's it. I think that's it. And I kind of like that that's underneath the face. I'm not sure Eleanor Roosevelt looked like this, but again, this is art. So yeah, I'm going to glue that down. Okie dokie. I have put my words. I have put the ledger words down. I actually like that, that they're overlapping. I wanted you must, like when you go to cut them, you can cut them in, you know, so the words are together. I really wanted to focus on you must, like you must, you can do it. Do the things you think you cannot do. And added that. I'm calling it done. On this, there's the feather. So the feather was a chipboard shape from Dina. And she has, you know, people and wonky circles and all kinds of stuff, fun stuff. And I hoard these for the apocalypse, which is one of the reasons when I did this, it was the same idea of I want to use my stash. I have all this cool stuff that I never use. I want to use my stash. And that was using this. And basically I took the chipboard piece and I painted it with the glossy sprays, and then I stamped on it once that was dry. And I love that. So I looked at the pieces, and the challenge is, this is the smallest feather, for example. I felt like it was just too big. It's just too big for my little page. And I thought about putting it over here, but it kind of takes away. It's done. This is done, I feel. And again, who knows, maybe 2 days from now, my brain will spew out some other idea. But I like putting my chipboard shapes in these little containers because it kind of helps protect them a little bit from getting broken. There we go. That's the page. I'm quite happy with that. I could do more. Oh, one thing I do want to do is to distress the edges a little. I like distressing the edges for some of these pages because it kind of gives it a border, a little bit of a definition. Not always is it needed. I'm close up, and I'm just going to do that sketchily and then add just a little shadow around. Now, one of the things I love about using this kind of paper is like, look at that. It's all kind of becoming, it's all like chewed and whatnot at the end. So that's it for today, folks. I really do. I like that page. I need a permanent pen here. Embossed. Check. So now the next one up is tuck spot. So I'm going to go through my day, and it's coming. It's shaping up. It's shaping up. I'm going to think about tuck spot for this page. All right. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you're safe and your families are safe. See you tomorrow.